pride of ownership is a really important thing. If you have that, if I'm proud to own this car, then you're going to take better care of it. If you're proud of the place that you live, you're going to take better care of it. If you're proud of who you are, you're going to take better care of yourself. What's the opposite? If you don't care at all, if you don't give it F, if you don't give an S, you're not going to take good care. You're not going to do the things that it takes to help that thing, be it your body, car, your house, your yard, your bedroom. You're not going to do the things that it takes to maintain it, to make it better, to make it last. Happy 4th of July. I want, I love the United States of America. I myself want to be a good steward of America. And I know that when we value something, when we're proud of something, we want to take care of it. And so I want to do my part to take care of America, to take care of the United States. And I wonder if every generation looks at what's going on. And they say, oh my gosh, we're on the verge of collapse. This whole enterprise is about to go down the tubes. For some reason, and maybe it's always been, but for some reason, ancient Rome has been just a subject of so many memes these days, and how guys like to talk about Rome, and that certainly could be true. What's important or germane about that is that obviously Rome became one of the most sophisticated, if not the most sophisticated civilization, certainly one of the most powerful, one of the most important civilizations ever, and it no longer is a thing. The Roman Empire is no longer in existence. So why did that happen? I'm not going to talk about that today, but that is it. It's like, I wonder if the quiet generation thought that everything was about to come to an end. I wonder if the greatest generation thought that. Boomers. Well, you know what? I don't know that anybody really cares what boomers have to say. Just kidding. Just kidding. Last thing I'm going to do is lump everybody into a category. And Gen X and Gen Y and Gen Z and Gen A and whatever else. I wonder if everybody thinks, oh, this is it. We are on the verge of collapse. And you know what? I'm not interested in having the blood of the United States on my hands. If everything falls apart while I am minding the store, I'm not interested in that. This idea or the reality of a legacy is a weird thing. What's not weird is leaving something better than than how I found it. And I'm 46 years old, and in 40, let's be charitable and say 46 years from now, will the world be a better place? Will the United States be a better place, be in a better position due to my generation, due to the decisions that we made, and fundamentally due to the decisions that I made? Maybe one day I'll be president of the United States. Maybe one day I'll be on the Supreme Court. Maybe one day I'll be a United States congressman or United States senator. Probably not any of those things. You never know. But that doesn't mean that my role and my responsibility in all of this isn't profound and great. In fact, I think it's more profound, more important than some senator. There's only 100 senators. There are 350 million Americans. And while it's certainly true that the work of one senator can be profound, be extraordinary, if everybody, you and I, each individual citizen of the United States, treated and acted with a sense of ownership, with a pride, with thinking about being a good steward of America, would that be a good thing? I think that the answer is certainly true. So pride in country, pride in ownership, I think it's the same thing, or at least very, very, very similar. So are most Americans proud to be American? Are you proud to be American? Well, there's a recent Gallup survey that came out and said that in 2001, 87% of Democrats said that they were proud to be American. Republicans, 90%. Okay, so pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. Fast forward to today. Republicans, 92% said that they were proud to be American. So it went up by 2%. Amazing. What about Democrats? What about Democrats? 36% of Democrats today say that they're proud to be American. So that's just off by 51%, which is extraordinary. Now, again, I'm no fan of category, but we are self-categorizing ourselves pretty frequently by Republican or Democrat. I am not interested in being a part of either one of those political parties. I'm interested in being an American, a citizen of the United States of America, and being a proud American. So I'm more with the Republicans on this one, but that's so telling. And so when I just got done talking about how important it is to have a pride of ownership, and only 36% of half the country is proud to be American. Well, that, brothers and sisters, is a problem. Let's talk about the difference between national pride and patriotism, because I think that that's an important thing. Simply living in the United States will not make you tacitly proud. Just living here will not, by osmosis, make you proud. Living in a house does not give you pride. Owning a house, living in a house does not give you pride in ownership. It just means that you're living there. So simply occupying space within the United States of America obviously does not make you a proud American. It may not even make you an American. The national pride isn't something that simply automatically comes from living in a place. It's earned, it's cultivated, and I know that it's rooted in a far deeper connection to the history of the country, to the United States history, our values, who we are, what it is that we do, how we do things. Now, we are obviously a diverse theoretical melting pot where people from all over the world, as has always been the case, come here sharing common belief in an ideal, the ideals of what it means to be, what is America, and what it means to be American. And so long as we're sharing that, well, then there's so much room for diversity and so much room for difference. And that becomes a feature and not a bug. But again, just living somewhere doesn't nurture, foster, create that sense of pride. It comes from being engaged. It comes from recognizing that the place that you are represents the progress that's been made, and of course, the ideal that we are that shining country on a hill. We are exceptional. I think that that's an important thing. And where we're going, what we're capable of. And the thing about ideals is that I don't live up to it every day. It's something I strive towards. So is the country imperfect? Of course it is. Is a human being imperfect? Of course you are. Of course I am. Of course we are. But we're striving. And the ideals that the country stands for are unlike any other that has ever existed. So understanding and embracing that, that's the starting point to pride, to national pride. That's the starting point to patriotism. So, question being, what would it take if you're less so proud to be an American? What would it take for you to increase that pride or to rekindle it, to rediscover it? I think that we need to engage in consistent reflection on what our relationship to the country is. So many different ways to think about it. Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I think that that's a great one. To whom much is given, much is expected. Well, I happy circumstance, the happy luck, serendipity that I was born here. It's a wonderful thing. And there's people that immigrate here and couldn't feel happier, couldn't feel more fortunate. And you combine that with the ideals of freedom, opportunity, the pursuit of happiness. Maybe you feel good about the role that we play in the world stage. Who knows? But I think that there's an opportunity for everybody to come here and to pursue whatever it is that you are looking for, regardless of who you are and all that good stuff. So what would it take for you? And then what would it take for you to become a patriot? And I think the patriotism takes pride a step further. It's more than just pride, it's about commitment. So to become a patriot means that you are actively supporting, potentially defending, and certainly contributing to the country's ideals, regardless of the warts that we've had in the past, the scars that we have, the mistakes that we made and that we are making and that we will continue to make. I mean, it's a there are human beings known as Americans occupying America. And because we are flawed and fallen and we screw up, that just means that we in the country are going to continue to do that as well. But that doesn't make it bad. That just makes it a real thing, a living, breathing thing. We err, we express contrition, we move forward better. We invest in the country. We work to improve the country. We stand up for its values. Patriotism involves action and responsibility, whether it's through civic participation, social causes, whatever, trying to make the place better. So it's an active choice. Patriotism, being a patriot, is an active choice. It's committing to the ideals of the country and playing a part in realizing that. And then it's aligning everything and it's finding alignment. Are your values, are your priorities aligned with the country's, the United States of America, our founding principles? And then you can take that at every level, your states, your cities, your towns, your neighborhoods, your families, yours. So here's what I want to focus on today. And Goethe, the beautiful, wonderful philosopher, writer, thinker, Goethe, said that things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. Things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. So, for my money, from my perspective, this is where we are screwing up. This is where we're losing the script. We're losing sight of what matters. And we have elevated things that are less important. We've elevated and inverted them with things that are the most important. The main thing in every endeavor of every arena, avenue of life is keeping the main thing the main thing. The main thing is keeping the main thing the main thing. So now let's balance that or contrast that with the idea that what got you here won't get you where you want to go. And that's true sometimes. I think that we find that to be true in entrepreneurship and in relationships. You know, what brought you into a relationship and helped you to form a bond, maybe you got married, that period of time isn't necessarily what's going to keep you successfully married and have a family moving forward. It might be, but it might not be. And the things it took to establish your company and to create a going concern may not be what is required to take you to whatever that next level might be. But when it comes to what will continue to make the United States a great country, and to continue to realize our potential and to maintain our position and to keep the country a place where anybody can come and pursue the American dream, whatever version of the American dream you have, so long as it's aligned and congruent with the existing values of America. That's what we're talking about. And so this is the nature of what it means to be conservative. Now, that's small c, not conservative, big C, like conservatives and progressives, Republicans and Democrats. Being conservative or taking a conservative approach simply means that you recognize this thing has value. And so we're not going to throw it out. We're not going to discard it simply in the name of progress. Being conservative and taking a conservative approach does not mean that you're not progressive also. Because if we were just conservative and we just kept things the same, no new technologies would advance. You wouldn't have AI. So maybe that would be good. We wouldn't have new medicines. We wouldn't have new power sources. We would, all of it, all of it. One of the features of America is that you can come and create things. You can be a visionary. You can be a somebody from a different whatever, anywhere. Come to the United States, make an impact, change things for the better. So we need to, not everything is going to stay the same. We don't need to keep everything the same, just the most important stuff. You have to know what matters. It's so simple. Like, what is the key to a happy life, to a successful and happy life? What are the keys to a happy and successful organization? What are the keys to a happy, successful family, company, country? You have to know what matters. You must do what's necessary in service of what matters. We're coming out of this time where we just questioned everything. Like, oh, okay, well, no, we're not going to go into an office anymore. Now everybody's going to work from home over Zoom. Maybe. Well, we can't have kids in classrooms, so we're going to educate everybody remotely. Well, maybe. We're sick of the way that we enforce the laws, so we're going to defund the police. Is that a good idea? We're going to celebrate that diversity is our strength and that we're a nation of immigrants, so we're not going to enforce our border anymore and everybody can come in. Is that a good idea? I don't know. I'm just saying that it's really important to not throw the baby out the bathwater, to hold on to those things which are really, really, really important. And along with that, you don't want to be married to your ideas. You don't want to be an ideologue. You don't want to be a zealot. You don't want to be an activist that's so blinded by what you believe to be the correct way to start doing things moving forward, and that you put blinders on and you only focus on that one thing, regardless of any other information or any other factors or variables that are out there. And one of the things, because when you do that is you can't see the forest through the trees. You're just inside the jar, can't read the label anymore. You're just stuck in it. So busy doing, you cannot see the entire field. Just see that one thing in front of you. Too locked in, too myopic. So we have to open the aperture and be able to pull back out and say, okay, yeah, I'm really frustrated by this thing. It seems like there's a lot of negative things with this area or with the way that we're doing things. And there's so much nuance to all of these things that's really important that we are able to have these kinds of conversations without all of a sudden we're so entrenched and I've got my arms crossed and F you, we're not doing that. Stupid Republican, stupid Democrat, whatever. We're all becoming way too ideological. We need to remember these things that are most important and that are allowing us, giving us the privilege and the ability to think these kinds of thoughts. You don't want to get rid of those. You want to conserve the ability to criticize the government. You want to conserve the ability to have robust debate on every different issue, no matter what it is. There are no sacred cows. We have to be able to kill bad ideas, come up with new ideas. We have to be able to clash over these things, to debate, to come to solutions that we can at least all live with, and that we don't feel like things are going haywire, that we don't feel like we're moving in just this wrong direction. So, the idea of this ideologue, being an ideologue, too often, from what I observe, it manifests in single issue voting. So, wishing and wanting the world to be a certain way versus doing what actually works. I think that that is where we are falling down and really busting ourselves up. I want things to be great too. I don't want people to be hungry. I don't want kids to bad things to happen to kids. I don't want bad things to happen to elderly. I don't want bad things to happen to anybody. I want everybody to be able to read and do math and to be able to have careers and families. I want kids to be able to walk to school. I want to be able to drink the water. I want to be able to know that my family is going to be safe. And I'm hopeful that we all believe that. And I think that we all believe that, but that we've forgotten it because we've let ideological issues take away resources from those things that are most important. So the thing is that you have to know what's important. You have to do what's necessary, required in service of what's important. And then it's allocating your most valuable resources of time, attention, energy, and money towards those things that are most important because those are finite. And I do not have an unlimited amount, even though it sure does seem like we have made the decision that we have an unlimited amount of money to be able to just spend or use or allocate however the F we think that we should, but we don't. I know that I don't. I know that you don't. So why as a country are we operating in a different way? Thomas Sowell famously said there's no solutions, there's only trade-offs. So when you decide and say yes to one thing, you're saying no to everything else. And even though that may not be true currently from a monetary perspective in the United States of America, it doesn't make it not true. And we're having a really interesting conversation about that kind of thing these days with, I think that you're well aware of that. And we're struggling with this stuff and really important to be able to struggle with these things. So back to single issue voting. There's not that many of them. It's abortion, it's gun control, it's climate, it's immigration, it's these days equity. So those are important things. And I'm not saying that they're not important. And maybe some of those are the most important, but I don't think so. I think, I think that we have to ask ourselves if we are to only vote based on, and I'm just going to use abortion because that just really cuts both ways. Pro-choice, pro-life, pro-abortion, pro-life. That's a whole interesting thing these days too. But that's neither here nor there. If that is all that you are worried about, if that is all that you are concerned with, I believe that you are missing the bigger picture. And you could tell me to go F myself, but I believe that we are missing that thing. So, but let's not take my word for it. James Madison, one of the greatest thinkers, one of the founding fathers of the country, what would he say about this? And I think that he would certainly agree with Goethe that things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. And I know that Madison talked a lot about the danger of factions. And the whole idea there is it's really important to consider the public good over narrow, self-interested goals. So that's the first thing is that we have to prioritize The most important thing, got to keep the main thing. That's the main thing over more narrow issues. And we have to be able to deliberate and compromise in the way that we're governing. And I don't think that we're doing that anymore. Um, there's some of our elected officials that are breaking from party lines, and that's the way that it ought to be. That's the way that it ought to be. I understand coalitions and if you're going to get things done, but at what cost? I don't think that it's necessarily serving us. And Madison saw this as a really dangerous thing. In the Federalist Number 10, Madison warned against factions that he believed they're focused too much on their unlimited and narrow goals, whether it's economic, social, political. That has a tendency to really overshadow those things that are most important to simply running in the country and making sure that we're doing the things that have to take place, that we're doing the things so that the conditions are set for individuals to be able to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And he believed that the larger enduring interests of society should always take precedence over transient or narrowly focused interests. So, and then the importance of deliberation. He argued extensively that deliberation is a key component of good governance, and especially in a diverse society, which we live in. He believed that careful, reasoned debate would have better policy outcomes and serve the common good way better than the opposite. So we need to make good long-term decisions as well versus hasty decisions based on short-term desires or special interests. And I think that we are making a lot of short-term decisions these days where one incident can lead to so much unrest and change. And of course, that one incident that could just be the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm not ignorant of that. And that a lot of what we're experiencing today is potentially the result of a body of work and lots of different things, not simply one match that starts a fire, but it could go the other way. So I think that Madison would really view that quote by Goethe as a call for discipline and focus, reminding us that the most crucial decisions that we make are not overwhelmed by the less important ones. A successful republic, it's one where governance is shaped by consideration of the broader interest and long-term good rather than short-term whims and the demands of single issue factions, ideas. And he would recognize that there's a lot of danger of being driven by less important issues. I think that as soon as we start to prioritize narrow issues above more fundamental challenges, it screws up the whole process. And it will lead to divisiveness, which it has. It'll lead to ineffective government, which it has. And it will lead to the erosion of our national unity, which it has. So when political actors, be it politicians or activists, organizers, whatever, focus only on a single issue, then you fail to consider how it impacts everything else, like the really important stuff, thus harming the country, harming where we're going. That's the problem. Unintended consequences. Instead of stepping back and saying, okay, if I knock this wall down, what's going to happen? Maybe there was a reason for it. Maybe there were things we were trying to keep out. Maybe there were things we were trying to keep in. Or maybe it's just prudent to have a wall there sort of separating things. And that's just an example. You can use that. You can use any metaphor you like. But it's important that we understand and are thoughtful and wise about how one thing impacts the whole. Because if we're not careful, then that one thing the tail of the dog is going to wag the entire dog versus the dog wagging the tail. And I think that we're falling victim to that in many, many, many different ways. So, what happens with when one of those factions, as Madison talked about, become too influential? Well, what's going to happen? It's going to create bad policy. There's no two ways about it. They gain power, they gain influence, and bad ideas get made law. So that could certainly happen. We see it happening everywhere. We see it happening everywhere. In most every walk of life, we're seeing single issue, fringe issues, factions starting to actually lead to policy and to the entire direction of our national discourse. Why on earth are we talking about men and women's sports versus cleaning up North Carolina? Was it North Palestine, East Palestine, Ohio, Maui? Can you drink the water in Flint right now? Can your kid walk to school in the place that you live? Can those things happen? When are the people in California going to be able to return to their homes? Is that happening? See what I'm saying? We are doing exactly what Goethe suggested or said, if you do this, it's not going to work. So, the real danger comes when these factions gain enough power to push their agenda through government. And Madison feared that if one faction or coalition was able to dominate, it could undermine the ability of the government to act in the public's best interest. And that's what it's supposed to do. Government is supposed to act in my best interest. And if all of a sudden my best interest is a fringe issue, well, shoot, I'm giving away the whole game. What we're doing there is benefiting very few while harming very many. It's a tyranny of the majority. If one faction gains a majority of voters who are exclusively focused on that issue, they can push through laws that satisfy their narrow interest without the regard for pressing issues or the broader good of society, which will marginalize the rights and concerns of minorities, as Madison feared factions could infringe upon the rights of others. What if we can't compromise anymore? If we can't robustly debate and have conversations about these issues? Well, Madison knew that public debate and an exchange of ideas is essential to making wise, sound, balanced decisions. And when all we do is focus on one thing, it really makes that pretty much impossible. So, Madison saw, and the whole Federalist idea is that a large republic and a strong system of representation is the solution to the problem of factions. So, where the diversity of interests and factions would be so great that no single faction could dominate the political landscape. So there you go. That's what we're interested in doing. So Madison in Federalist number 10, it provides a really powerful framework for understanding the dangers of single issue politics, which is the modern interpretation or modern incantation of factionalism. The Founding Fathers were deeply committed to our individual rights and the protection of those individual rights. But they were also equally concerned about the potential for those rights to be manipulated by factions that pursued narrow, self-interested goals. So I think that if we leave that unchecked, it's going to have a very, 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 very damaging impact on the country as a whole, but then on us as individuals. So what would it take for you to become proud to be an American? What would that take? Are you proud to be an American now? What would it take for you to even entertain the idea of that and then to actually move to strengthen it? Are you a single issue voter? And have you thought about what the negative impacts of that could be? Have you thought it all the way through? I think that that's always the question we should be asking ourselves. We need to put our critical thinking hats on and say, okay, if this is if this is the primary issue that I'm focused on, and I'm allocating a lot of resources to this thing, how's it all going to work out? Take it to its logical conclusion. If the policies that I am pushing, if they're all enacted, and it all goes the way that I want it to and the way that I think that it should, what's that going to result in? Is that good or bad? And then think about, okay, what if the opposite of what I believed is actually true? And then answer those questions that I posed to you. Can you go walking in your city at nighttime? Can your kids walk to school in the morning? Can they walk to school in the afternoon? Can they walk home in the afternoon? Can you pour a glass of water from your tap and drink it? I think that those are the table stakes. And until the answer to those questions is yes, I'm perfectly comfortable getting on public transportation, perfectly comfortable walking downtown at nighttime. Yeah, my kids walk to school, they walk home. Sure, I drink the water. Until the answer to those questions is yes, what are we doing? Too many of us think that we have these finite resources. And by I say too many, I mean most of our elected officials, certainly. And if I operated my life in my household like that, it wouldn't work. So why would you and why would your situation be any different? Why would the government be any different? Just because it's big doesn't mean we cannot act prudently. Doesn't mean that we can boil the ocean, because I can't. So, God bless America. God bless the United States of America. We need to take good care. As always, do your part by doing your best. And happy 4th of July.